Good afternoon, everyone on the East Coast, and good morning, everyone on the West Coast. This is John Garmendi with Sony's Professional Solutions of America. We'd like to welcome you back to our ongoing series of Tech Tuesdays presentations. Again, we created these in response to the COVID tragedy so that we can continue to maintain a constant flow of information out to our customers, reseller partners, and consultant community. This afternoon, we'll be covering again the Edge Analytics device, and we'll be focusing on the Focus Edge cropping feature, as well as some of the GUI and the setup for that feature. So it's pretty exciting, and I'd like to thank you all for your time today, as always. This afternoon, joining us is Karim Springer, who's a sales support engineer with our Northeastern Zone. Karim has 15 years of experience in the broadcast and professional AV marketplace. As well, we have Drew Buttress, who is the senior product manager for Edge Analytics Solution. This is the fifth in our series, as I said, and in the future, we'll be doing these on an ongoing basis. We'll be covering our laser business projectors, our TEOS workplace management solution, Bravia professional displays, our 4K SXRD projectors, and our CLED crystal LED direct view technology. One housekeeping item, I'd ask that you use the question panel to submit any questions you may have. And with that, I will turn it over to Karim.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Sony Tech Tuesday. My name is Karim Springer, a sales support engineer based here in New Jersey that supports Sony B2B products and solutions throughout the whole Northeast. Today, we're going to be learning about Edge Analytics Focus Area Cropping application, its web GUI, and its hardware setup. What is Edge Analytics? Edge Analytics is an AI-driven GPU video appliance that will benefit your organization by enhancing and simplifying your current AV workflow. The Edge Analytics appliance, the REA C1000, is a scalable device allowing for you to load a total of 5 licenses. Those licenses are handwriting extraction, which creates a digital overlay at any characters run on a whiteboard or blackboard, PTZ auto tracking connected to your Edge Analytics device via the HDMI output, which allows for the camera to actually track the individual along a fixed field of view, close-up by gesture, which requires an audience-facing PTZ camera to actually capture the responses of an individual that stands up or raises their hand, chroma keyless CG overlay, which changes out your background digitally without the need of a green screen or any additional lighting. And of course, focus area cropping, we'll be doing a live demo of this, but basically focus area cropping allows you to take a whole angle of interest and create a 10 by 80 cutout on a secondary display. So let's talk a little bit about focus area cropping. Focus area cropping, typical use case would be for a concert, for example, where you have an audience, you have a stage, you have a podium, presenter, or performer. With 2 audience-facing displays or projectors, this allows you to sit there and view your angle of interest, which will be your audience, stage, and presenter. And on your secondary display or projector, this will actually be more of a close-up of that podium, presenter, or performer. So without further ado, I'm going to switch over and show you guys how we configure focus area cropping. So the first thing you'll like to do is browse to the IP address of your Edge Analytics device. Select your application, real-time cropping, and then we're going to hit setup. This will bring you to a preview screen of what the camera is actually looking at, whether it's going to be a stage. Right now, we're looking at the whiteboard, we're looking at myself. You have 2 areas that you're going to configure. You have your area 1, and there's 2 options, fixed area and focused area. Fixed area is more of a static look, whereas focus area is more of a dynamic. This allows for a little bit of a tracking involved. However, for this demo, because of my distance, I'm unable to do that. So we're going to just go with fixed area cropping for area 1, and I'm also going to do fixed area cropping for area 2. You'll notice on my next screen, basically I have 4 focal points. You're able to squeeze, stretch, make it rectangular. It's all up to you. I'm happy with this, the way it looks, so I'm going to go to my next screen. Now your area 2, same effect. You have your 4 focal points. So basically you can stretch it out, you can bring it in, all depends on you. Once you define your both areas, you hit done. That's all it takes. You're good to go at this point. You'll notice that in your crop control, you have 2 windows. You have your area 1 and your area 2. Area 1 is the blue square, area 2 is your purple square. Area 1, when I toggle to area 2, you'll notice it'll show a close-up of me. Swing back to area 1, shows a wide screen. Again, area 1 basically will be your digital output of your edge box going out to the display. Area 2, secondary display, digital output 2 of the edge box going out to that display. What's also good is that if you needed to fine tune this, basically I selected for area 1, I actually can from the screen. You notice that I'm capable of moving around the square within that area, and you're also able of doing it with area 2. It is that simple to set up focus area cropping. So now that we took a look at the configuration for focus area cropping, let's take a look at the web GUI itself. In the web GUI, you have your top left corner. This is your applications tab. Below that, I like to call it control tabs, function tabs. You have your input output. This gives you a preview screen of basically on your HDMI in 1 of what the camera is looking at. For your HDMI in 2, basically I have a PC connected. This is a great tool if you're doing chroma keyless, where you have a secondary PC connected to the edge box and you want to bring in a weather map to do overlays. So I'm just going to go back out to my HDMI 1 in, and you'll notice to the right of the preview screen, you have your naming screen of the camera that you're utilizing and the IP address as well. The box below that is a drop-down box of all the compatible cameras that will work with the Edge system. Going to video, you could do ATSC or you could do PAL. Here in the States, we do ATSC, so 5994 is great. The difference between HDMI out 1 and out 2, out 1, you're able to do up to 4K resolution. So if you have a full HD camera that only does 1080p 59, you can actually upconvert that video signal to a 4K resolution. Out 2 only does full HD, or it will pull the ED/ID information from the camera, so it's an automatic resolution from point to point. Your audio is a simple enable disable. Enabling your audio through the input back jack on the back of the Edge Analytics device. It allows you to take that audio and embed it over the HDMI output or the IP stream. Network gives you your MAC address, your Ethernet status, and a static IP address. Or you can set it for DHCP, which will allow you to sit there and look for IP address on your network. Security, you have very good security features here. You have users where you can set it for admin, or you can actually set it for user. Admin have full configuration rights, whereas the user is limited. You also have access control. And what access control actually gives you is that you can restrict it or allow certain IP addresses to communicate with the Edge Analytics box. Your security socket layer allows you certain encryption protocols that allow you to lock out the PC, not the PC, I'm sorry, the Edge Analytics device to certain websites. And your reefer, where you can actually set your certain HTTP sites as well. Now we're moving on to streaming. Streaming, you're able to do 2 videos streams and 2 audio streams. It's a RTSP push. The codecs we use is a H.264, and for your streaming output, in the case of focus area cropping, where you have two displays, you can actually select which HDMI output you want to utilize to stream out. So if you want area 1, which is the whole angle of interest, you can actually set it here, HDMI out 1, and that will stream out the whole angle of interest. If you want it also the secondary, for your secondary stream, you want to set it for the fixed area interest. You can actually do that as well. The licenses tab. This is all your licenses that you have loaded onto your Edge Analytics box. It's a simple activate once it's uploaded. It's an image that you'll place onto your local PC, upload that image, and then you'll activate it when done. Very easy process. And your systems tab, which gives you general information. You have your name, your model number, serial, and software version you currently have on the box, date and time, initialize, which would be your hard reboot or your soft reboot, your update version. This is actually where you do your firmware upgrade to the box. Again, an image, you load onto a PC, you pull it in, and you're good to go. And then you have your end user license agreements and your software license information. So now that we took a look at the configuration of focus area cropping, we took a quick overview of the web GUI. Let's take a look at our actual backplane of the Edge Analytics box and see how it's all connected. As you can see here, I'm using a basic Netgear switch. I have my PTZ camera connected, my control PC, and my Edge Analytics box, all connected onto the same switch. At the bottom of my Edge Analytics box, which is here on top, basically I have HDMI in 1, which is my PTZ camera, the SRG X120, and I just have an external PC connected into HDMI in 2. Above that, you have HDMI out 1 and HDMI out 2. Again, if you're doing focus area cropping, basically out 1 will be your area 1, your whole angle of interest, and out 2 would be basically just that fixed area. You have your mic input. This allows for any audio mic to be ingested into the Edge Analytics box and take that audio and embed it over the HDMI output or the network IP stream. Last, you have your RJ45 network port, which allows for IP control of the box and configuration or IP streaming. And to the left of that, last but not least, you have your power. Now that I took you through focus area cropping, we did configuration, we also took a look at the web GUI overview and a hardware setup. I'm going to swing it right back to John for any questions you guys may have. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Karim. That was great. Really appreciate the presentation. We do have some questions. We've got a couple of questions here. So let's just take them in order. I've got a question that came in from Dan. He wants to know, what is the difference between the PTZ auto tracking and the focus area cropping? Drew, maybe you can take that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the PTZ auto tracking is going to do a mechanical pan, basically, as the person who you're tracking moves left and right. We're going to follow them with a camera. When they stop moving, we center them in the frame. But we're only doing pan. We're not doing any sort of mechanical tilt or mechanical zoom. So if they came towards the camera, they're going to get bigger in the frame. If they walk away from the camera, they'll get smaller in the frame. Dynamic focus area cropping is actually doing EPTZ. So if the person's on a stage, they come down off the stage and move into the audience. We will do an electronic tilt. As they move closer to the camera, we'll do an electronic zoom out. If they move away from the camera, we'll do an electronic zoom in. The idea is that they will always be the same size in the frame relative to where they are with respect to the camera.
Great. Thanks, Drew. We've got two questions from Ben. Let's take them together. His first question is, can you set up more than just 2 shots? And then the second question is, can the product do a smooth transition between the 2 shots, either a pan and zoom or a dissolve?
I'll take that. I'll take those. So go back to the first question, John.
The first question was, can you set up more than just 2 shots?
In focus area cropping, no, you only have the 2. So one would be your sort of wide view, the other would be your cutout. The second question regarding dissolves and those kind of effects, the answer is no. What happens is you've defined your 2 zones, if you will, and you've also then defined which of the HDMI outputs are going to get those zones. So there is no easy transition. If you were using an external switcher, you could certainly do all kinds of transition effects using the switcher, because the 2 HDMI outputs of the edge box would now become inputs to that switcher.
We've got a question from Leslie. She asks, what presenter distance is required for the PTZ camera to pick up the area cropping automatically?
I guess I could take this one, John.
Go ahead,
basically,
Karim.
you need a minimum of 5 meters. That should be a sweet spot for the PTZ camera to basically track an individual.
Okay, 5 meters?
5 meters, yes, sir.
Got it. Thank you. James, a question from James. What is the USB 3.0 port for?
I'll take that one. That kind of goes back to where we had USB on some of our other cameras. It was really intended for maintenance and firmware upgrades, but the convenience of having the ability to do firmware upgrades across the network has almost made that obsolete, the need for the USB connector. It is not doing USB video out, anything like that. It's mostly probably for diagnostics and firmware upgrades.
Thanks, Drew. Question from William. Is the audio in jack only mic level or is line level available?
I'll take that one as well. It's configurable. If in the screenshot that Karim had up where his audio is disabled, had he enabled it, you would have then seen a setup screen where you can say it's mic or line, and then there's also the ability to adjust the delay so you can get your lip sync between the audio and video on that HDMI out connector.
Great. So we have 2 questions from 2 different people that involve price and promotions. And to both of those, I would say, please check with your local Sony dealer or your local Sony account manager. There actually is a promotion currently running, but we'd prefer if you were to get that information directly from your local Sony account manager or your local Sony dealer. We've got a question from Dave. Dave asks, does the Ethernet output support RTMP?
The answer is not currently. Right now, it's strictly a push. As Karim said, it's RTSP.
And question from Kevin. Does it have to be a Sony camera? And are there any sound timing issues?
Let me take that one as well. The answer is so one application requires a Sony camera, and that's the PTZ auto tracking. That requires a Sony PTZ camera that does VSCA over IP control and has an HDMI output. So there's a list of supported cameras. You can find them on the website. Going to the other 4 applications, the answer is no. You don't need a Sony PTZ, and in fact, it doesn't have to be a Sony camera, although if you want the best picture quality, I would hope it would be a Sony camera. The requirement is HDMI out from the camera, and you're limited to 4K 30p or 2997. Uh, that's an edge input limitation. So you could use a Sony XD cam, some of our other models that output HDMI. In fact, April 20th, we just announced a new compact um, box camera called the SRG XB25. If you're looking at this for, say a classroom or an auditorium where you want to get a 4K signal to show the entire front of room, and then use focus area cropping to either dynamically track, the speaker or performer, or if the person's only ever going to stand at the podium, you can make it simple on yourself and make it a fixed area crop, and then you have the two different video outputs from the Edge box.
Thank you, Drew. Anthony wants to know, can I fix the cropped area? So I guess he's asking, is it a fixed area, or can I choose the focus area tracking a targeted speaker?
I could take that one, John. Yes, you can.
Sure.
You can actually readjust it based on, if you go with a focused area, it'll give you an area that you could choose, and you can stretch it out as much as you want. On the second screen, it will actually give you like more of a vertical if you want to cut stuff out from floor to waist if you choose. So yes, you can adjust it.
Excellent. And we have another question. Can one box do handwriting extraction and auto tracking at the same time?
I could take that one also, John. The answer is no. For handwriting extraction and for PTZ auto tracking, you will need two separate systems, because if you notice in the web GUI, you're only able to select one application at a time. Therefore, you need two boxes, two separate cameras to actually do that setup.
Okay, great. Actually, a question from both Leslie and Patricia asking for the model number of the new camera that was just mentioned. So what I did was I put a link out to everyone in the chat with the new box camera detail. It is the SRG XB25. And let's see, Richard asks, have you used SDI to HDMI converters to input the video? Understanding that SDI is a lot easier to long run distances than HDMI.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So on the other, the 4 applications that don't require a PTZ, the answer is I have not tested it, but it would work. I have tested HDMI extenders from Sound Control Technologies out of Norwalk, Connecticut, and so you could always extend the HDMI run over a Cat5 cable that way between the camera and where the Edge box is placed. The SDI to HDMI will not work with PTZ auto tracking because the Edge has the list of supported cameras, and we do check the camera ID. So if you were using, let's say, the BRC H900, we wouldn't recognize that camera ID and then control it for PTZ auto tracking.
Okay, we've got a question from Saeed. Does it support Microsoft Teams and any other applications?
All right, let me try to answer that one, John. So I think to fully be integrated with Microsoft Teams, you would need to be converting the HDMI output to USB 3 to go into the local laptop. Or if, and I have not tried this, so I can't answer direct, but if Teams would let you take a video stream from an RTSP source, then that should work too.
Okay, great. And I think one last question here, which is actually something we had addressed last week, but again, Are the licenses annual or permanent? Karim?
It's actually a permanent license. It's not an annual renewal.
Okay, great. And it looks like those are all of the questions. As I mentioned every week, I'd like to remind everyone that if you are an end user, please reach out to your local Sony reseller. We have a large network of channel partners, and they can arrange for demonstrations and discuss any kind of applications you may have. And our reseller partners, I would say that if you'd like to do this kind of webinar for any of your end user groups, by all means, please reach out to your local account manager, and we can work with our regional zone sales support engineers to put this together. I'll make one last check of questions. It doesn't seem like there are any, so I will thank everyone for your time again, and look forward to seeing you all next week on the webinar. One other reminder, as of last week, we've made it possible for you to view the entire upcoming schedule of webinars and easily register for any or all of them at once. So with that, I wish you all a good day and wish everyone to please continue to stay safe, and thank you for your time. Have a good day.